In today's video, we have a variety of news to take a look at. We have some news from the waiver wire, we have some pretty serious injury updates, and we have some signings to report on as well. We'll get into all the latest coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Now, as I mentioned, we have a variety of things to talk about here today. Let's start with the news from the NHL waiver wire. Now, yesterday was a quiet Sunday on the waivers. There was nobody on there, so we don't have any news on anybody clearing or getting picked up. But we do have news on 2 additional players being placed on the waiver wire today. And we'll find out at noon Eastern time tomorrow if they were claimed or if they remain with their clubs and can be reassigned. So we have Artem Anisimov of the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, he was missed some time here. Just a matter of getting into the taxi squad. I don't see anybody picking him up. He hasn't played a ton this year. When he hasn't really done the best. I'd be shocked if Anisimov was claimed. I'm sure the Senators would be thrilled, but I don't see it happening here. So he likely goes through and just gets reassigned. The other one, though, that's a little bit more interesting, and I think is not a for sure thing, but a greater chance of him getting picked up, is Scott Harrington of the Columbus Blue Jackets. The defenseman is on waivers today, so he very well could end up getting picked up, and you never know. I mean, he was originally drafted by the Penguins, got traded to the Leafs in that Phil Kessel trade, was in Toronto not too long. He ended up going to Columbus not long after. He's been there for like 3 or 4 years now. So, he's been a decent, okay, third pair defenseman, like a 6'7" guy. I don't really see anybody, really getting too excited about Harrington. But if somebody wants to add more depth and they want a guy who can play third pair minutes, play 10, 12 minutes a night, be a number 7 guy who can kind of go in and out depending on, what your lineup looks like or injuries and whatnot, he's a decent pickup. Like, he's a serviceable guy. Said nothing flashy by any means and not going to wow you, but, somebody who can step in and play if needed. So we'll see. Teams are always looking for defensive depth and pickups ahead of the deadline before the playoffs. So wouldn't be completely shocked if he was claimed. So we'll find out at noon Eastern tomorrow. Now, as I mentioned as well, we have some injuries and some bad ones. Unfortunately, we saw a gruesome injury last night with Florida Panthers top defenseman Aaron Ekblad going down. He had to be stretchered off. It was a really awkward fall. Got tied up in the corner, and it just looked really, really bad. I would be shocked if Ekblad was able to come back this season. More likely his season is over. And, at this point, I think we're looking towards, being ready for next season. I guess we'll have to wait for further prognosis here on the injury, but it just looked really bad. If you have a weak stomach, I wouldn't recommend watching it. But, at least when he left the ice, it seemed as though he kind of gave the thumbs up, saying that he was, okay, but still, he had to be in a lot of pain. It just looked really bad. So the Panthers, who were already rumored to be looking for help on the blue line, now lose Ekblad, who was having a terrific year. He was certainly in the conversation, at least for the Norris Trophy. I think fair to say he would have got a decent amount of votes. And now it's all for naught. I mean, I can't imagine he'll have a chance to win now because he won't have enough games in played, compared to a lot of the other guys he'd be up against. But still, that's a huge blow for the Florida Panthers. The Panthers team that are really looking strong for the playoffs, suddenly without him now, as well as Barkov and Patrick Hornqvist. So we'll see if they can get through the adversity here with the injury bug, but bad news all around for the Panthers. We also saw Anaheim Ducks forward Rickard Rakell have to be helped off the ice as well. No really clear-cut answers yet, at least not that I've seen, on the prognosis and how long he'll be out. But again, another player had to get helped off the ice. He had a collision with Kyle Clifford of the St. Louis Blues. It was just a freak accident, really. It wasn't anything that anybody did that was dirty or anything. It's just a fluke collision, but still, it didn't look good. Hard to say exactly what happened to him or what the injury is, but it could be a number of things. And another player who's been mentioned a lot in NHL Trade Rumours as a guy generating a lot of interest ahead of the deadline. So there's going to be a lot of NHL teams watching and waiting for updates on that to find out what his status is before making any moves. But it could be a player that is maybe forced not to be traded if the injury is too severe and it's going to be out too long. So we'll have to wait for further updates again on Rakell. Now, we also have a variety of NHL signings to look at here today. We have one extension for Zach Fukali with Washington. His son's a 2-year, 2-way contract. He's been a pretty good goaltender for them, especially at the AHL level. A guy who's still battling hard to try to fulfill his dream of being an NHL goaltender. He's gone through a few franchises now. Of course, had a great run in junior and just hasn't really been able to find it on a consistent, regular basis at the NHL. But you know what? He could be one of those guys, like a Chris Driedger, for example, who's found his game really at a bit of a later age with the Florida Panthers. Even Jordan Binnington's another good example of a somewhat of a late bloomer, but when the goalies, but 25, 26, 27 years old, you can't really call them late bloomers per se because they do take a lot longer than most positions to develop. But again, another guy who's been valuable to the Capitals, at least at a lower level, and somebody they can have as an insurance piece, so he gets rewarded. Of course, it's league minimum $750K at the NHL level, but still, that's a pretty good deal for Fukali to continue on his pro hockey career. And so the other contracts we have here are entry-level deals. We've got the New York Rangers have signed defenseman Hunter Skinner on his 3-year entry-level contract. Skinner was a 2019 4th-round selection, so he's now under contract. We saw the Toronto Maple Leafs dip into the college free agent market and sign Alex Steeves of the University of North Dakota. Of course, UND was just beat out of the longest game in NCAA tournament history, that 5-overtime game against University of Minnesota Duluth, where UND were the favorites going into it, but certainly UMD has been a strong powerhouse team. The Gophers have been really good for a while, so you can never count them out here, but certainly a situation where their season ended a bit early. There's a lot of players on that team that very well could be turning pro, many of which are still under NHL rights here, not free agents, but he's one of the guys drawing interest here that ended up going to the Maple Leafs. So obviously Alex Steeves is a forward. Steeves played 3 years at the University of North Dakota, was more than a point per game this past season, 21 years old, and he was regarded as one of the top college free agents out there on the market. So a potential good pickup here by the Leafs, but of course, as we know, they're pretty deep at the forward position, so I would assume he'll probably start with the Marlies. This contract as well doesn't kick in until next season. There is a possibility, I guess we'll find out if he goes to like the AHL on a tryout contract. You can do amateur tryouts so that their ELCs don't kick in until after, but this contract for his NHL 2A contract won't kick in until next season. We also have the New Jersey Devils signing right shot defenseman David Ferentz. He gets his entry-level contract signed as well. Now he's a bit older, so he gets a 2-year entry-level deal. He was originally a 3rd-round pick back in 2017 for New Jersey. So a bunch of new players getting their ELCs under contract here. Of course, all those deals will kick in for next season. Sort of a busy day here when it comes to injuries, waivers, and signings. So let me know your thoughts and everything discussed down below in the comments, and we'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.